Welcome to the Purple Elephant Show. I am your host, KC Phoenix. It's officially the weekend. We're here. And, I don't think anything major is happening, believe it or not. Of course, all hell is breaking loose right now, but in the sense of something major happening in the midst of everything else, there really isn't much happening right now because everything is going through the process. That video in Georgia, or should I say from Georgia, that video really is catching fire right now. There are other things still going on in Nevada, in Arizona, in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in, of course, Georgia. So all of this stuff is on the table. And so far, they're saying the lowest hanging fruit is Wisconsin. And others are saying the lowest hanging fruit is Georgia. With the videotape evidence that has come out, along with the affidavits that support what everyone was saying, it's kind of interesting to me that when the affidavits were done, people were saying, oh, well, there isn't any evidence. An affidavit is evidence. But now that there's a video to corroborate what people were saying in the affidavit, it's kind of like, what else do you need? And other people are trying to spin it to say, oh, well, no, the ballots were just sitting under there. That was just regular protocol and so on and so forth. No, if that was the case, why were the ballots brought there earlier that morning and put under the table and not counted at least an hour or so later? Why did those particular ballots only get counted when everyone else was told to go home? They couldn't have counted those ballots while everyone else was there. It's when everyone else was told to go home, those ballots that had been sitting under the table, that's when they're like, oh yeah, you know what? We forgot about those. We got to count these ballots too. Nah, I don't think anybody's buying that. I don't care how the media is going to try and spin this one. They can try every type of way to spin it. People are not going to buy that. And if they do, that says more about the person than it does the situation. When it comes to President Trump, he's doing a rally today. I'm recording this at 11:52, 51, whatever, a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it's almost 3 o'clock over in Georgia on the East Coast. I think that rally is at 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He's doing the rally for the Republican Senate candidates, the Perdue and Loeffler. And my feelings are still the same about that. I actually moved from Georgia to California a long time ago. And if I still lived in Georgia, I wouldn't care if President Trump was up there with them. And I love President Trump. He's my favorite president out of all the presidents that I've been alive under. President Trump is my favorite president. But even if President Trump himself said, oh, well, we need to vote for this person, that I would not care, because it doesn't matter if the situation is not fixed. And that's why it's like to vote or not to vote. And everything is in question now. And the way stuff is set up, it's clear that Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, is in on this whole Dominion thing. He's in on it. So maybe worst case scenario, even if Republicans don't come out, he can make a backroom deal with whatever Democrats he has been in cahoots with the Dominion software to say, hey, we got rid of Trump. Go ahead and give us the Senate seats. And we'll just redo the software where the Democrat votes count 0.7 and the Republican votes count count 1.3 or something like that. And we'll do some other stuff and drag it on out and pull some ballots from under the table and add extra in for the Republican this time and keep everything balanced since we got rid of Trump. Since I did you that solid, do me this solid. and he might get the Republicans over the finish line with some type of backroom deal. The thing is that it's sad that my mind even has to go there when an election should be free and fair, and it should be for the people and by the people. That's what's sad. And when it comes to voting, you have to understand where some people are coming from. First, there are people like me who are not really diehard Republicans. We might agree with some conservative ideas and some conservative values, but as for being diehard Republicans, that a lot of people who have come over who are former Democrats like myself, we wouldn't say that, oh, we're dyed in the wool Republicans. It just wouldn't be. You can say that we just support President Trump. And that's what it is. And we came out for Trump. We voted. Trump won the election. That's not up for debate. Anyone else who says differently, they have other issues they need to grapple with. Trump won the election. It is the current Republicans in power. It's their job to make sure that President Trump stays in the White House because he won the election. It's not our job to come back out again and drag everyone else across the finish line when you're kicking out the person who is the reason we came out in the first place. You can't make it make sense. The other thing is, when it comes to the voting in Georgia, now that we know that this is a multi-pronged issue. The first part of the issue is the Dominion voting system. We know that software can be rigged. Anyone who's been doing their research on Dominion, they know what's up. So I've never heard of a voting system that deals with decimals. Why do you need decimals for counting in a voting system? I've never heard of a person being counted as point something something or 1 point something something. It's either a whole person or it's not. So which one is it? Make it make sense. And that's one of the larger things. The other thing is that now we have this video evidence of people in Atlanta taking ballots out after everyone's left and counting them with no observers present. It was caught on camera in doing that. So we have two issues here. We have a corrupt voting system and we have corrupt counters of votes. But you're saying go out and vote. I have another channel and I'm actually doing a sports episode today on my other channel. So I might as well do a sports analogy. Republicans, let me rephrase, establishment Republicans asking voters to come out and vote for these senators with the current situation is the equivalent of two teams going onto a basketball court and one team automatically receives 20 points. One team automatically receives 20 points. Just by stepping on the basketball court. They got 20 points. And the other team's like, what do they have 20 points for? Wait a second. We're at a deficit here. What's going on? Well, no, they can have the 20 points. So we're supposed to play our heart out on the court. And we might overcome the 20 points that they started with. We might. But then, if we don't, it's going to set in our mind that, wow, if they didn't have the 20-point advantage when we first stepped out on the court, we would have won the game. And that's going to stick with us for the rest of our lives. Why would you want to put somebody through that? Why would you want to do that? To say, oh, come out, but yeah, come out and play the game, but the other side's going to have a 20-point advantage. Play your heart out, but the other side's going to have a 20-point advantage. It's okay for them to have a 20-point advantage. You'll find a way to overcome it, and if you don't, it's whatever. But at least you tried. Both sides are supposed to start at 0 when they step out on the court. Not one side starts at 20 points and the other side starts at 0. And then the other side is working twice as hard to catch up and overcome the 20-point advantage that this other side received. You can't make it make sense. Not for people who don't even rock with you guys, like, and by you guys, I'm talking about establishment Republicans. Not for people who don't even rock with you guys like that anyway. They're not going to play. You're not worthy of, I feel like in the Avengers with Thor, he who is worthy shall wield the power of Thor. But that's what it is with these establishment Republicans. They're not worthy for a voter like me or a voter in rural Georgia or in any other part of Georgia to come out and play their heart out for that particular individual when you know once that individual gets in power, they're just going to do what's always been done. The reason that so many people came out and voted for President Trump is because he was worthy. He didn't do the status quo. He didn't do what all the other politicians do, where they talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and then there's no action. If you check his list of the things the campaign promises he made, he kept his campaign promises. In politics, that's very rare. So you have these two senators that you're trying to put up in Georgia that are known as establishment Republicans, who, when they get into office, they will more than likely not keep their promises to do what they say they're going to do. They might keep a few, but they won't keep them all. And probably more than likely won't even keep half. And they'll toe the line. They'll kick the can down the road. They'll try to go along to get along. And all that other stuff. Those type of people are not worthy of someone playing their heart out. Someone saying, you know what, I'm going to stand in line for 2 hours or 4 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours. Or, oh, I'm going to make sure if I feel out about it, I'm going to hand deliver it to make sure that they get it. Those type of people, they're not worthy. Because a vote is something that is yours. It's very sacred. And whoever you cast your vote for, should you choose to do it, because you always have the option to cast a vote for someone or not, because you may feel that no one is worthy to receive your vote. But you're holding up these two people who haven't come to the defense of the president. I mean, really, like a full-throated defense of the president. To say, you know what, this needs to be made right. It needs to be made right. And you want all of the people in Georgia who came out before and managed to overcome a rigged election because it was rigged on the voting side with the software system. So many people came out to vote because they felt the president was worthy that they overloaded the software system. They overloaded and broke the algorithm that was already set to count Republican votes less than Democrat votes. So many people came out, they broke the algorithm. So then you have an election that carries on for days, and then these ballots just show up and show up and show up and show up and eating away the lead magically. That's the second part of it. Because so many people came out because they felt the president was worthy. And in the midst of all of this stuff, in the midst of everything that has happened, so many people have sat quiet that should have been speaking up. And now, while those people have been sitting quiet, while they have sat quiet, you want the same people who originally came out on election day for the person they felt was worthy to come out again and support people who are not worthy. I don't care if Kelly Loeffler or whatever her name is voted with the president 100% of the time. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is how much you speak up, how much you push every single day to call out what we know is obvious fraud, to call out Governor Kemp, to call out the Georgia Secretary of State on a regular basis. As in that should be your campaign for the whole month, calling them out, staying in their face. Because without the president, the Republican Party doesn't exist. And it's about time establishment Republicans understand that. It doesn't exist without President Trump. That's just the way it is. The former Republican Party is a thing of the past. And this blatant and obvious attempt to try and reset it back to what it once was, it's going to blow up in your face. It really is. Because if you think people are going to come out, no. Because I'd be like, okay, let them all get in. Because the thing I know is that if, let's say Joe Biden gets in, and by the way, I'm still not at the break glass in case of emergency yet, nowhere near that. Because a lot of things are happening, especially in Wisconsin. A lot of things are happening. Let's say that in reality, Joe Biden gets in. All right, fine. After a few months, obviously, he's going to get some type of disease and then he's going to bow out. Kamala Harris is going to take over the presidency. Don't know who her vice president will be. Don't care. Might be Hillary Clinton, but sleep with one eye open if that's the case. I digress. All right. She goes in. Things go completely left. So far left that so many things get implemented that it just tears everything apart. I said it before and I'll say it again. That's not a bad thing in my eyes because it will finally sink into some people who are on the fence but just couldn't get past the president's personality or just always had this mindset that, anybody with the R in front of their name, Republican bad, Republican bad. That type of mindset, when things just go horrible with the bad policies, then people might be like, we might need to pick some other people besides Democrats. So if President Trump stays, it's a win in my eyes. If he doesn't, for me, it's a win because it's Schadenfreude. So I don't understand why people don't see that the voters are not going to come out if they feel it is something where it's always stacked against them. Then what's the point? They can stay at home. You're going to come out just when you know you're more than likely going to get beat with a 20-point advantage on the court? What's the point? You can stay at home and practice on your game or play a different game, which is what I always say anyway. I say if the deck is stacked against you, play a different game. But yeah, why do it? So it's like to vote or not to vote. And for those who are listening to this podcast, obviously you're grown. You can do what you want to do. I can tell you, I'm very good at reading people. And the people more than likely are not coming out. I would be willing to bet on that comfortably. I'd be willing to bet on that. So yeah, to vote or not to vote. And that's really, it's not even just specific to Georgia. It is across the US because Dominion voting systems are in several states. It makes you wonder who really won their elections? Like, who really won? And if I were somebody in office, first of all, I have a huge ego. And I don't hide that whatsoever. And my ego would get to me so much that I'd be like, we're about to investigate this because I want to know that I won. I don't want a situation where it's like, oh, well, the people who voted for me, their votes counted as 1.3 or 1.5 or 1.1 or whatever. Or even they counted at zero point 0.7 and I still won. Because it's like, well, if I won by their votes counting by 0.7, then if they would have been counted as one whole vote like they should have been counted, I would have won by even more. So you would think that the people in office right now that are in states that use the Dominion voting systems would be raising hell right now to say, we need to look into this to find out, did I really win my election? And if they did, great. If they didn't, it is what it is. But they don't do that. They stay quiet. They collect their checks. Mind you, everyone in government has collected checks. There was a video that I had seen recently. It was this lady here in California. She owns a business and she did everything that she was supposed to do to comply with the rules in regards to the China Wuhan virus. And now she had to shut down her business and she was protesting. But right by her, a movie studio was shooting, they were filming, and they set up their stuff so people can eat and do things and whatnot. And that was okay. But her business had to be shut down. And this goes back to what I said before about classism. That classism is a funny, dirty thing. And I've been telling people this from the beginning for months. Essential, non-essential. You're saying you're important, you're not important. Classism. It comes in many different forms. But her business isn't important, but the studio business is. So it doesn't matter that she doesn't make any money. She doesn't have any way to pay her employees. Her employees don't have any way to collect money to eat or feed their families. But the studio that's filming, They're fine. They can go ahead and set up their tables and do what they need to do right near the restaurant. See, what they should have done, and this goes to show you how, when it comes to politicians, how they just don't get it. What they should have done was worked with the local restaurants in the area where the film was filming and said, hey, we're going to be filming here. We know that we have you shut down, but for this particular one, can we work together to get you to cater, help us with catering this event? We can have a plethora of this, a plethora of that, or something of that nature where you could put some money, do at least a small cash infusion into some of these businesses. But they didn't do that. And with these politicians, with all these businesses that get shut down, with all these people that have lost their jobs, the politicians, whether it be state or federal, they still get paid. I bet you they haven't missed a paycheck. I bet you they haven't missed one paycheck whatsoever. But then you want people to come out and vote for you when you're not worthy. If you were about that life, if you were worthy, you would have said, you know what? While Americans aren't getting paid, I'm not going to take a paycheck. You know, there's somebody who doesn't take a paycheck. There's somebody I can think of off the top of my head who donates his salary every quarter. And that's the current president of the United States. He donates his salary every quarter. Where are all the other politicians that do that? There are several politicians. Nancy Pelosi is a millionaire 10 times over. There are tons of millionaires in Congress. Joe Biden is a millionaire. He didn't say he's not going to take the presidential salary. He wasn't like, you know what, I've already made millions. I'm older. I'm not going to take the presidential salary. I'll just go ahead and donate it. He didn't say that. But then these establishment people want you to come out and vote for them. Make it make sense. I can't. ThePurpleElephantShow.com, main podcasting platform. The Purple Elephant Show on Parler, the free speech platform. The Purple Elephant Show on Instagram. The Purple Elephant Show on YouTube and everything else. If you're watching this on BitChute, YouTube, Dailymotion, don't forget to hit the subscribe button followed by the notification bell. That will let you know when I upload new videos. And yeah, that's all I have for this Saturday. Until next time. Oh yeah, thank you for your support, as always, because I appreciate you guys, especially the BitChute community and the people in Ireland. Shout out to both of you guys, and as in the whole. So yeah, until next time, be blessed.